Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host for the Leaders of the Hot podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, my good friend Jay. Jay is an absolute, how can I say it, is multi-talented person. Is is a top sales closer, high ticket for some of the biggest names in the industry. He's a pro musician, composer, Brazilian Jujitsu, masters in divinity, former pastor, and that he was a missionary evangelist who converted who had 40,000 conversations, 5,000 people trained, and 10,000 conversation of faith around the world. So I'm sure there's a lot more, and he's gonna tell us about that. We can do an entire podcast just about all of his, skills, talents, and accomplishments. But I will let him tell us more about that. So Jay, it's a pleasure having you with us today. Thank you for being here. How are you, my friend?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Payment. Really looking forward to it.
It's my pleasure. So again, I've just given only a glimpse of all the talents you have. So for people that don't know you, who's Jay? You can start and say whatever you want, however much you want to disclose.
Okay, sure. So I'm a Korean Canadian, born and raised in Toronto, Canada, and go Raptors, go!
Yes.
And yeah, so I grew up, Korean Canadian family where I did science and business degree at University of Waterloo. I did a post diploma at Seneca in marketing and sales, and then
I went to Senegal too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Needham campus.
Yes, sir.
Yes. There
Wow,
you go.
awesome. Give me five.
Boom. Okay. So and then I worked for the bank, the Royal Bank of Canada for 5 years, and helped launch the Avion Platinum card.
Nice.
So I was a national sales manager for Visa. My role consisted of helping train 1,300 branches, 70,000 employees, being a subject matter expert, and really learning how to market and sell Visa. And so it became one of the top performing cards in our nation. And I felt a call to pastoral ministry of all things after 5 years, even though my ambition was to become an executive before the age of 30, do my EMBA, which I was running and doing my GMATs at the time. And then I got a conviction to full-time ministry through a cartoon caption. The cartoon caption on the 23rd floor at Bay Street downtown in the head office of Royal Bank was, the first caption was like the year 2530 AD. And it was
Wow.
archaeologists mining ruins in the first caption, archaeologists mining ruins. And in the second caption, they uncovered under the ruins and the rubble, they uncovered cubicles.
Wow.
And, being in the bank and being in a large company and, I loved what I was doing, my heart just sank. And I just thought to myself, there's more to life than just money and materials. And not saying those things are bad, because I do enjoy those things, but that there's more to life, that there's purpose, that people can live with purpose, and people can learn to give instead of take. And so, long story shorter, I ended up going to Tyndale Seminary to do my Master's of Divinity, to get properly educated. And I felt like the best way that I could fulfill this calling of God on my life was to become a pastor. And so over the next 15 years, I was a missionary pastor, church planner, which basically means I started a bunch of churches in the 15 years.
Wow.
And traveled all over the world, from Nicaragua to Almaty, Kazakhstan, to share the love of Christ. And in that time, I had the opportunity to have over 40,000 conversations, train over 5,000 people in bringing hope, and saw over 10,000 people make professions of faith to Christianity in that
Wow.
time.
Amazing.
And so the reason why we're on the call is because I had to raise my own support as a missionary, and kind of like an accidental or reluctant evangelist. In the corporate world, that evangelist actually translates into sales. And so I had to make ends meet because I only had $1,000 a month that I was left on my salary support. I had 3 young kids to feed and a mortgage to pay and a wife, to make sure that we could make this work. And so I ended up investing a lot of money, about 50,000 plus, into digital marketing masterminds to learn everything from paid ads to copy to funnels to VSLs, video sales letters, and so on and so forth. And I just started to get into sales, high ticket coaching sales, high ticket SaaS sales. And even though I knew very little about the industry at the time, I started to one call close $15,000, $36,000, and $50,000 deals on one call, to the
Wow.
point where all my colleagues were like, "How on earth are you doing that? You don't even know what you're selling." I said, "Well, I'm very passionate about what I'm offering, and people seem to resonate." And
Mhm.
so that, in a nutshell, is the brief version of my story.
That's amazing. Wow. There's so much we can cover, but let's go back first to some, when we're young, especially in primary school and all that, people ask us, so Jay, when you grow up, what do you want to be? Whether it's your parents or your teachers. So what was your answer? What was your idea? Let's say when you were in primary school or middle school, people asking you, so Jay, what do you want to become when you grow up?
I had zero aspirations. I think my parents, being Korean Canadian and being in a performance driven culture,
Hmm.
and many of you can relate with that, was, your dentist, doctor, or lawyer. You don't get a
Yes.
choice. So the reason why I studied science was because it's pre med, and it's what
Hmm.
my parents wanted. And everything that happened in our conversations growing up ended up being, how are you going to become a doctor? How are you going to go to med school? How are you going to go into science? You like science and math because that's going to help you get into medical school.
Hmm.
And it was kind of like brainwashed. And I absolutely hated science, and I sucked at chemistry and physics. And I ended up failing out of my second year of university, which is another whole story. Ended up getting
Hmm.
back in and had to study my tail off just to pass. And then I went to Seneca, as you and I both went to, studied
Hmm.
what is it called, the marketing management post diploma program, and absolutely crushed it. Like I just didn't realize that that's what I really loved. And so I think my parents wanted me to be one thing. I didn't know what I wanted to be because they were kind of telling me beforehand what I should be.
Hmm.
So I never really had a say.
I see. So when you were in school, what was your favorite subject?
Phys ed.
Yes, same here. I know.
Phys ed, recess, lunch, and when school is over. I
Oh
hated
yeah,
school.
and vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't
Wow.
think I had a favorite subject. I didn't really like school, and I never really got along with the educational system. Even in university, I just didn't really understand it. And to beat this system and learn the system, it was like I was just trying to beat the system to get the
Mm,
GPA or the grade, but I never fully understood, and I never really
okay.
learned, which is really really sad.
Hmm. That's amazing. Yeah. Now let's go now a few years further down the road. When you said you went around the world trying to, preach the word of Jesus and God, you went around the world. What would you say was your probably uh, one of the highlights of that? One of the that really touched you on a personal level.
Wow, there's so much. One story in particular, when we were in, I think it was Kokshetau, Kazakhstan.
Hmm.
There's a lot of sorcery and witchcraft and voodoo, and a lot of kind of like
Wow.
the occult there that's
Hmm.
prevalent. It's actually quite the norm. And coming
Yes.
from a North American Christian culture, I'm not exposed to that.
Hmm.
So there was one guy. Apparently at this church compound, there were, I think, like two or three sub levels, like basements, basement 2, basement 3,
Wow.
because there's people like literally praying 24/7 for like God to move and God to do miracles and all this stuff. We were having lunch in the courtyard, and it's a very poor area that we were in, so we were like literally,
Hmm.
there's no chairs, there's no tables. You're having your lunch and you're literally crouching down on this dirt floor in the
Hmm.
courtyard. And I heard this just blood curdling scream. And I didn't know where it was coming from while we were having lunch, and it scared the jeepers out of me. And I realized that I think it was three sub levels down, that there was I think a teenager that was demon possessed with multiple demons. Okay.
Whoa.
And they had about 6 or 7 people that chained him down and were trying to pin him down, but he threw them all like they were like, flies. And
Whoa.
he levitated off the floor on his knees 6 feet off the ground. Um, and then I
Wow.
found out later that I saw this guy after he was, delivered, because they ministered to him and they cast all these demons out. And I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be scared for my life or thankful that he wasn't, attacking me. I saw the
Wow.
aftermath of his transformation and what God could do.
That's crazy. Wow. Hmm. I mean, good thing we're having this conversation during the afternoon and not at night, eh?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Wow.
The lights
Okay.
on.
That is one, I'm sure. And how did that event, affect the rest of your experience in that place? Did it, you know, because that must have been something that, sure, you're coming from a background in a society that's not really exposed to that, to a complete, opposite, and all of a sudden you, wow, am I dreaming? Is that for real? Please, someone wake me up, or
Yeah, I think that experience taught me that there is the supernatural, right? I
definitely.
don't know if I actually really believed it, even though I was
Mm-hmm.
a person of faith, but to actually
Mm-hmm.
see it, and to see it not just in that time, but multiple times with different accounts and
Mm-hmm.
occasions and stories,
Yeah.
um, that there is power in God and the Bible, whereas people say it's just a book, it's just part of history, or it's just something people go to for religious purposes because it's a
Mm-hmm.
crutch. I found that it's actually really relational, it's personal, and it's powerful. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that experience made me realize that I can have confidence in my own faith. And the book that I'm going to be writing is called "Sell Like a Ninja," and uh, what is it? Selling without faith is dead. Sales without faith
Wow.
is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the Bible it says faith without actions is dead. You need to really, really believe in what you believe in, whether it's your religion or
Mm-hmm.
your solution in terms of, if you're a business entrepreneur or a coach. What really helps sell more solutions and high ticket sales is your belief or your faith in it, which gives clarity, confidence, and helps you to communicate.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's amazing. Okay. Um, I mean, we can do an entire show just on that, but because I've been over the past year since, all this lockdown and pandemic, I've had some kind of, as you can say, a spiritual awakening. So I'm getting very
Hmm.
interested in that topic and doing a lot of research, and I've come to, be much more understanding and patient now, despite the fact that I've lived in 10 countries and 4 continents. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's definitely opens your eyes to another realm that was probably completely, I was unaware of it, but now I'm seeing, hey, wow, there's a whole different realm and dimension that is open, that we better learn to be aware of it, and if possible to put it to good use as well, and not let it affect us negatively. So wow, that's
Right.
amazing. So tell us about, what are you doing now? What's your business?
So I am launching a new business that's going to be a high ticket sales ninja coaching business. And what that basically means that if you are a coach or if you're an online entrepreneur that's selling a high ticket price, let's say minimum $2,000 and up, a lot of owners, business entrepreneurs, coaches, they're really good at what they do, but they don't know how to sell it. They don't know how to
Mm,
market it. So my business is, because I've been doing this for quite a bit of time and seeing a lot of success in terms of, like I just shared with you just before this call. I
mhm.
Today I have a 50% close rate. I did a one call close, full 100% cash collected, which is amazing.
Wow.
So I want to teach entrepreneurs like yourself that have high ticket offers how to really close more business, generate, like I'm generating about 6 figures a month part time. My hook is how a pastor closed $105,000 part time while working a full time job with three little kids and a brand new puppy.
Amazing. Yeah, that's quite a hook. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Um, what is a part of selling that you enjoy the most?
I think like you, it's just like the meeting the people and hearing their stories. And when I hear the pain and the struggle that they go through, because as a missionary pastor, as I was sharing before, like I I was down to $1,000 a month, and I mentioned to you earlier, like I was at the grocery store with my kids, and I got declined more times than I would like to admit at the
Wow.
grocery store because my credit card or my debit card didn't have the money. So I had to literally put like a good portion of the groceries away with my kids asking, why are we not getting the popsicles? Why are we not getting the jello? And me having to tell them like, we don't have enough money. And I hated
Wow.
going to the grocery store because I was fearful that I would get declined again and again and again. And it was at that time I made a personal vow to myself. I said, God, if you give me some sort of superpower to be able to generate income, my vow and my promise to you is to help teach people how to do this so that we can alleviate the stress that finance has on marriages and families and help break generational poverty in as many entrepreneurs and coaches that I possibly can do. So I made a vow that day, and not knowing 15 years later that God would gift me with this sales ninja coaching ability to close high ticket sales, to help them do that as well.
Hmm. How did you? What would you say was the? How do you basically learn all those skills, selling skills?
It's kind of like it's like going to the gym, right? I think a lot of it is just showing up and
Hmm.
then knowing what to do. So I would learn from the best of the best because you can actually work out in a way that's wrong. I have a friend who's actually a top 1% earner in the coaching business, and he's got two muscle tears that have been plaguing him for like 15 years that he didn't even know about. And he's having to get all these injections and plasma stuff because he's been doing the wrong thing over again for the last 15 years. The point
Wow.
being is when we go to the gym, we can think that we're getting stronger or getting results because it shows physically or we're losing weight, we're getting more muscle, but it's a matter of doing the reps properly and learning properly. So instead of
Hmm.
learning the wrong thing over and over again, I basically went and learned from the best and top coaches and salespeople all over the world, and I basically came under them just to learn. And while I did that, I got better and better and better, and I closed more deals after more deals, and to the point where people are coming to me and asking me either to be on their shows, their podcasts, their 5-day challenges. I'm getting recruited left, right, and center. A guy approached me yesterday from Thailand, 7-figure earner.
Wow.
He's trying to get me to be on his team as well. So, and then a YouTube star, I won't mention names, but who's doing 7 figures a month. He's doing over $1 million a month. He's
Wow.
trying to get me. So, when you kind of can really show that you are getting results and really kind of focus on your talent and stay focused and really keep doing your reps and doing it, learning from the best, people take notice for sure. And there's no shortage of jobs. There's no problems getting a job. It's just a matter of, for me, which one should I take? Which client should I
Exactly.
take on? Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to break into the sales or online field and wants to just learn to become just like you, like a ninja closer?
It's a great question. Because you can spend and waste a lot of time, a lot of
Hmm.
money. I think, a lot of people will try to go the free route, which is like, webinars, opt-ins, email
Yeah.
sequences, YouTube videos. I mean, yes, you can learn, but it's going to take you a lot longer,
Hmm.
5, 10 times longer, and it costs you 5, 10 times more. So I don't have the time, energy, and the patience. And so instead of you trying to learn 10, 15 years of expertise, I would say learn from someone who's done it really well so that you can fast track it within the first year.
Yes, makes sense. What would you say is the single greatest skill or characteristic that you need to have to be a top closer?
Wow. Oh, that's a good question, Payman. Say that one more time because I need to hear that again.
What is the single greatest and most important skill or talent that you need to have in order to be a top closer? Not just closing for the sake of making sales, but making sales in a way that is meaningful. Because the best sales are the ones that you're not just selling something, but you're also solving a problem that the person has. And when that person, after they end up the call, they will not have like a buyer's remorse and feel bad about say, hey, I made a great decision. This guy was
Yeah.
not just trying to sell me, but actually showed me the right, the right path for me to solve whatever problem I have.
Yeah, I'm gonna cheat and give you two answers, if that's okay.
Sure.
Number one, I think one of the top skills you can have as a salesperson is listen. Learn how to listen really, really well. Listen more, speak less. The second thing is really have a heart to help serve and transform people, right? So more than the sale, more than pushing them to a credit card, which a lot of people teach to, get them over the fence, take the wallet, take the card out of their wallet, pressure them with guilt and shame. Like there's all sorts of tactics that are dirty, sleazy, and just what
Mm-hmm.
gives salespeople a really nasty name. I try not to be salesy. I try not to be pushy. I just try to offer, give value. But like
Mm-hmm.
I said, those two things, I always try to listen to their story, understand their
Yes.
journey. And then secondly, I really have a heart to really want to serve and transform their lives because I know my
Mm-hmm.
story has been, I wish I had someone like that in my life when I was down to $1,000 a month to help me not get my credit card declined, not have to put groceries away, not have to explain to my kids. And obviously there's a lot of people that are worse off than I am. So I'm not trying to say a stab
Mm-hmm.
story, but I just said, if God can give me a talent or a gift that I can use, I'm going to use that superpower for good and help others do the same.
That's amazing. Is there any one skill that you thought was valuable when you were starting out that ended up being completely inconsequential and not really that important? Not just a skill, but any approach or belief, or when it comes to selling and being successful in business?
Huh. Can you give me an example? I'm actually thinking about it, but
For example, let's say you thought, let's say, something that people are saying that, hey, I'm an e-commerce guy. E-commerce, they always say, make sure that the product you're selecting is, especially if you're selling online on Amazon, has to be, say, has to fit inside a shoebox and has to be less, weigh less than, say, 2 pounds. But then when you realize that, because that's what 99% of doing, and that ends up, you're going to be flooded with competition. And instead, it's much better to go after products that are much bigger, more expensive, and therefore have a lot less competition and much more profit for you. So that's a mindset that the false belief that is being sold to legions of people. So, but that actually ends up being completely wrong
hmm.
in the real business world. So if you can give me any example, let's say when you were starting, I don't know if what or who, what kind of mentor you were following, but let's say they were telling you something that as you got along and got better and better, you realize, hey, what this guy or this person is telling me is not that important, or doesn't really apply in the real world.
Yeah. I don't know if this is going to answer your question properly, but I think the sales script, for example, in
Mm-hmm.
my world, people can sound very robotic and mechanical, and honestly, when people are talking and then they're just reading a script, but there's no congruency, there that doesn't work well. And I've heard when I've listened to calls and I try to manage people as well in quality calls, like quality assurance, I'd be like, you're just reading through the script. Like my thing is the sales script is important, but I don't actually use a sales script now because I know it so well. I just have bullet points,
Mm-hmm.
just that I can talk to and listen, but stay on track. So I think something that people do in this industry is they sometimes follow sales script to a fault. Whereas I've had so many people on calls with me, so moved and touched because they said, I know we spent so much time. I'm really sorry for wasting your time. I'm like, no, 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 this was important for me to listen and hear. And
Beautiful.
literally just people crying and saying,
Wow.
how do I pay? How do I come to this program? How do I pay? I'm like, okay, I didn't even go there, but if you want to go there, we can go there. So people typically on calls with me, I'm not actually pitching, and I'm not even giving a price. I've given so much value and given them like off sales script. I'm not saying it's not important. Know it so well that you know it like second nature, but to the point where you can go off script and be very fluid and talk to where they're at, kind of like how you do, and be able to answer any questions, alleviate any pains to the point where they're like, okay, listen, you definitely answered all my questions. I know you probably have a script that you're going through and you probably didn't even do it because we're going off tangent. Just tell me, what does it cost to invest into the program to get help from you guys?
That's amazing. Just to use a spiritual metaphor, is that God gave us one mouth and two ears, meaning we need to listen twice as much as we speak. And that's exactly it. The power of listening. That's such a, that's such an amazing thing that we need to do, but a lot of people are not even paying attention to it. All they try to do is just try to out talk the other person, and that's not going to work. So
You're right.
the
Yeah, in
power
the
of
Bible it says,
listening.
be quick to listen and slow to speak. So you're right, exactly.
I mean, there's a reason that we have two ears and one mouth. There's a reason. Otherwise, if it was other way around, we have two mouses and one ear. Maybe there might be some beings in other planets that have two mouths and one ear. But wow,
Exactly.
that's amazing. Okay, so the theme of my podcast is lead with a heart. That is, entrepreneurs that are enlightened that are building impactful businesses. So you mentioned that you're a very spiritual and faith-based person. What would you say is the cause that you're most passionate about in your business and your life?
Yeah, I think the thing that is near and dear to my heart is helping people who are in generational poverty. Because I experienced a little taste of what it's like to be lacking and being in need.
Mhm.
And I'm not even talking about being comfortable, just trying to make it, just trying to survive. And the amount of
Mhm.
stress that that causes on marriages, on parenting, on families. I had family and friends saying, "What are you doing? Get a real job, right?
I know.
How are you supporting your kids?" I mean, and then like even family members saying, "I don't want my grandchildren or my nephews or nieces like to suffer. Why do you put them through that torture?" Right? So there's lots of naysayers, um, but I think because of that conviction and that story that is so near and dear to my heart, I have the power to generate income, and I have the ability to help others. So more so than making the money, and we have one life to live here. We come naked, we leave naked. We cannot carry any possessions with us.
Mhm.
So all that stuff in between is nice, but it really, what's nicer and what's more impactful is, how can we transform other people's lives? How can we give back? How
Exactly.
can we pay it forward?
That's something that I'm absolutely very passionate about, because I have a firm belief that as entrepreneurs, it's our duty and responsibility to do good, not only because it's the right thing to do as human being, but also because doing good is very good for business as well. Because most people want to do good, but either don't have the money, or don't know where to start, or what to do. So if you and me, we allow them an opportunity to do good through the purchase of our products and services, they will feel empowered. And by doing so, they will feel grateful because they can do good without them lifting a finger. All they have to do is just purchase our products, which is a win-win situation. And then because they're buying something that's actually giving back and helping others, they will talk about you, they will post about you, share about you, do your marketing for you, and it will become, they will not just be a one-time buyer trying to look for the cheapest deal, but they will be like loyal, avid, even evangelical fans of yours. And that's the ultimate goal for any brand. So yeah, absolutely agree with that. And again,
Preach,
because
brother.
just like,
Preach. Amen.
exactly. Exactly. And also because me and you, we're blessed that we don't have to worry about what you're going to eat today, where you're going to sleep. But there's a lot of people that actually are in that position, like you mentioned, being down to $2,000,
1,000.
and 1,000, yes, and having not being able to buy the groceries that you wanted and for your kids. But there's people that don't even have that. So we can definitely, I believe that not any single individual can change the world by themselves, but if each and every, and that's my whole vision, because I'm creating this podcast. I don't see it just as a podcast. I see it more like as a movement. I want to use that as a platform to build a community of enlightened entrepreneurs to come and share the story and spread their message, for the reason to inspire other entrepreneurs to do good. Because if me and you were talking now about the power of building impactful businesses, if let's say someone listens to that and they were to do good in their business, and then they will go on to inspire one other person, and so on and so forth. Before long, we will create an entire legion of enlightened entrepreneurs, and together in a very short time we can change the world. And that's what the world needs right now: more positivity, more more helpful, because at the end of the day, we just doesn't matter what you are, you blue, white, green, religion, whatever, we all brothers and sisters, you know what I mean?
Hmm. I love your heart. I love your passion. I love your vision, bro.
Because just like you, man, I've come from you know a tough background. I was born in Afghanistan, so my family left the country when I was 3 years old. Even though I did not get to experience the bombings and all that, we were lucky that my parents were able to get out. So imagine if I was not able to get out, maybe me and you would not be having this conversation today.
Oh, most
We would
likely
not
not.
be even when I would not even be alive. So that's why I've been involved with businesses all my life. I've been blessed to travel a lot, but the business that I'm the most passionate about is right now, because it's not just about me. It's about giving back. As I said
Hmm.
the other day when we talked, I'm working right now on launching my physical brand of physical products on crowdfunding Kickstarter. For every unit I will sell, I will donate a pair of eyeglasses to someone that needs it but cannot afford it. And I would like to as much as possible. So that's something that I'm extremely passionate, and and I love connecting with other people, and that's what this podcast has allowed me to connect with amazing people like you and others that I've had the chance of talking to so far.
I can't wait for your launch. I wanna actually get up there and see
Thank
how
you.
it looks and feels. So
Oh,
excited.
it will be amazing. Yes, definitely. As I said, right now my main challenge is finding a factory that can actually make it, because of
Mhm.
the world is being completely affected by what's going on. So, but I'm still pushing, and I will definitely keep you posted.
You'll get
Awesome.
there.
So, yes, eventually, God willing. Um, Let me ask you something fun now. Let's say that, first of all, do you have a podcast yourself?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Time, energy, and people like you
Yeah.
can interview me. So
All right, cool. Okay, awesome. So let's say that you have your own podcast, and today you have the most special guest in the world, which is yourself. You're interviewing yourself. What would be the first question that you would ask yourself, and why? The most burning question
oh,
you always wanted to ask yourself, or the question that would come naturally the first to your mind.
so the question that I would ask myself if I interviewed myself,
The first question that would come almost naturally, automatically, organically.
I think it'd be like, what what were you created for, and
Mm,
how do you plan on making an impact and leaving a legacy?
love
Because I
that.
know as a futurist and someone who thinks it's like far ahead in terms of visionary, like I know
Mm-hmm.
my life is frail and it's very limited, and
Mm-hmm.
we're just like a speck on the spectrum of time and
Yeah.
history. So can I even make a mark? Will I even impact anyone?
Mhm. I love that. I read a quote similar to that a few weeks ago that said the two most important dates in our lives are: one, when we are born, and second, when we find out why we are here. And the second part is the most important, because most of us don't even get there, but the ones that are blessed enough to do it, it's like they're a completely different person. Would
Yeah.
you say that you had that experience yourself when a moment came to your life that you found that you realized, hey, this is why I'm here for, and this is my mission, this is what I'm going to pursue, and as a result of that, you've dedicated all your life, you went all in, and you became the best at it.
Yeah, I think that moment in the World Bank where I saw that cartoon caption, and so kids,
Mm.
if you're listening, comics are okay. Because I read like 500 plus page books that put me to sleep on the first sentence, and I would literally
Oh yeah.
for like an hour read it over and over and over again, and I had to like write a book study on it, and I couldn't. And anyways, the comics was just, it came alive for me. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot that you can learn in that moment for me, where I'm a visual learner. So when I saw that picture,
Yes.
it changed my life. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something that is in the arts that is really forgotten and even um, discouraged. Like people say, oh, arts, you're gonna be a starving artist, musician, painter, artist, like draw, like. but I think there's something powerful in the visual arts that can really trigger a transformative effect. It changed my life, right? So I think for me to learn from that visual cue, how to take that action. And I didn't even know exactly what it would look like, what it would take to get there, what even my next step, if not 10, 20 years would look like. I just focused on one thing and try to be the best at it. Talent Code talks about that. The Outliers with Malcolm Gladwell talks about that.
Hmm.
You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. All these different
Yes.
people that talk about these amazing things. I think when they became the best at what they did is they were singularly laser focused on one thing, versus like my proclivity is to be like all over the place, and oh, there's
Hmm.
a squirrel, oh, there's a bird, oh, there's a shiny object syndrome, and it's very easy
Yeah.
for me to get distracted. So I think for me to just focus and stay in one lane has been super helpful and formative for me.
Yes. And speaking of that, any tips you would give to someone that you just described? And I'm sure a lot of people are facing that. They just all over the place. How do they focus on one thing and just completely close out the noise of all the other distractions? Like for example, let's say you're launching, say you're closing sales, closing business. How I'm launching my e-commerce, but then you have, oh, crypto is killing it. Why don't you get into crypto? Why don't you do this? Real estate.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
do you close off that and just focus on one thing for the next 12 to 24 months?
Good, great question. So there's something called an ikigai.
Hmm.
It's a Japanese term that talks about finding, I guess, your lane or your sweet spot. And there's like different concentric circles that talks about what can only you do, what like meaning what do you do best, what do other people say that you do really well, what are you passionate about, and what will people pay you to do. So an example is like if you ever watch American Idol, Simon Cowell, the judge, who's very
Yes.
harsh, he'd be like talking to, let's say, Johnny. Johnny is a singer and he thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread, and he is completely off cue. His timing is off. He's tone deaf, and he's like, he finishes his performance, very confident that he's crushed it or killed it, and then Simon Cowell would be like, there's no way I would ever give you a record deal, Johnny. And then Johnny, in his defense, would be like, Simon, how dare you say that? All my friends and my family tell me I'm an amazing singer. And then Simon Cowell says, tell your family and your friends that they're all liars, right? Because just because you're a shower singer doesn't make you a singer. So, what do you do best? What is needed in this world? What are you passionate about? And what will people pay you? You have to align all those things together, not just 1 out of 4, 2 out of 4, 3 out of 4, but all 4 out of 4. What do you do best? What does the world need? What are you passionate about? And what will people pay you to do? When those all align, then you have your superpower or your sweet spot. And I found that in my life, because I mentioned to you, I'm a musician as well. And
Yes.
I was a worship director or pastor for 5 years. So I was actually paid to do it. I had over 30 years of classical music training at the highest level of conservatory for piano. So I was really good at it. I actually enjoyed it after the fact. I didn't like it at the time. People told me that I was good at it, and actually someone paid me for 5 years to do that. So those all came into effect. And so that was with music. And right now it's with sales that, am I really good at it? People tell me that I'm really good at it. The world needs it, and people are willing to pay me for it. So those kind of all aligned. And I was able to focus. When I found that and it all clicked, everything I just discarded like fat and said, I don't need any of this.
Hmm.
I'm going to trim it. I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to just stay in that lane and refine my superpower.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's something that even myself sometimes I struggle with, especially now, with crypto being, I mean, I have people that I know that are really crushing it with crypto, and they're all telling me, why don't you get into it? Are you stupid? This is the once in a
Yeah.
lifetime, century like opportunity. But I tell them, listen, it's nice, but I like to get into things that I actually can understand and that I can
Mm-hmm.
control, have a say about it. Crypto is
Yeah.
almost like, to some extent, it's almost like gambling. Or
Yeah.
unless you're willing to put like 7, 8 hours a day just watching and monitoring charts and reading white papers, which would put you to sleep after the first sentence, like you said,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not willing to do that. So in that
Yeah.
case, I would just rather use my money into something I can understand, I can control. So yeah, there's one other crucial point that you mentioned, and that's something that all of us entrepreneurs have faced at one time or another. Just like you said, you're going after your dreams, but yet it's not working, and people around you telling you, stop it, smell the coffee, why don't you get a real job? How do you, up to what time, what point do you keep pushing for your dreams? And when do you know that, hey, it's time maybe to maybe get, maybe it's not for me, or maybe I'm not formulating correctly, but the question
No,
is,
I understand your question.
yeah, because I'm sure you experience that in your life. I've experienced as because as entrepreneurs, we don't have the steady paycheck that comes every Friday. Some we're going through the phase of feast and famine. One month you have zero, the other month you have so much you don't know what to do with. So, and then when it's not as rosy, people around you say, "Hey, what are you doing? Stop wasting your time. Stop chasing the rainbow." So, so the question is, how do you keep going despite all the negativity when you're struggling in the beginning, but yet you still believe in your deepest of your heart that, hey, this is my path. This is what I really want to do.
That's another $1 million question. You're really good at pulling out these from the hat. Uh, there's no easy answer. Like, I
Yeah.
think with Ikigai, when you can combine all those four powers, like, and align them. For me, like, I was in pastoral ministry for 15 years, and I would
Mhm.
have still been doing it today. We would not have been on this call, to be honest. But it got to a breaking point where, am I passionate about it? Yes. Am I good at it? Yes. People tell me I'm good at it. Yes. Are people willing to pay me for it? Yes. But how much are they willing to pay me? And if I was single and not married, I think it'd be okay. But being married with 3 kids and a mortgage and living in
It's
Toronto, as you
different.
know,
Oh yeah, expensive
the
as
living
hell.
cost is very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to hang on for dear life in that position. And I had 5 people from different parts of the world. I had Singapore, Calgary, Toronto, Nashville, and Malaysia all telling me that if I actually went into some sort of sales and marketing position, and these are all different people at different times that didn't even know where I was at in my story, even with my $1,000 a month, they just said, we just feel like this would be a good move for you, um,
Mm.
sooner than later. And I literally took it to prayer because I was like, I'm struggling a lot and I want to hang on, I want to stay, but I can't afford to. I literally could not afford to stay. And it broke the bank. And I was a
Mm.
banker. So I think at that point, I had to take a really, honest look at myself and say, this is all I've known. And it actually became my identity as a pastor. Everyone called me Pastor J or PJ, like pajamas, but it was like, it's all I knew. And I'm like, I don't know anything else. I don't have any other skills. How could I, at this age, possibly learn anything else when I hate school? And sure enough, I prayed about it. I listened to some of the advice that people gave me with regards to sales and marketing. I invested in it. I didn't see any returns or any kind of like ROI in the beginning. But not too long after, I started seeing, pretty drastic results, probably after the 2-year mark, because I was still learning stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started applying, I started seeing results, and then and there, like, so the advice would be like, if it's to the point where, you're passionate, but you're not able to live off of it, then that's when it becomes a hobby. If you can live off of it and you're happy, whether you're making a little or a lot, and you can survive, then I would say continue doing it, because I think being happier is better than making a lot of money and being miserable.
Absolutely.
But if you can be happy and passionate about what you're doing and make a lot of money,
Oh,
then that's a win-win,
that's a jackpot.
isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Okay. Um, Let me ask you another question that's gonna, that I wanted to ask you for. I mean, that I usually ask people. What would you say is the single greatest challenge you had to overcome in your life that had now become your greatest skill?
It is challenge that has come into my life that's become a great skill.
Initially, it can be like a false belief. I had a person before, and one of the best, the most amazing, touching interviews I had with a gentleman from Australia, Damon. I would highly recommend you listen to that as well. This is a
Okay.
person that grew up. He always had this problem of lack of self belief in his life. and it took him two divorce no sorry a divorce, two suicide attempts, and a heart
Oh my
attack,
gosh.
until
Wow.
finally he realized that, hey, I need to stop doing whatever I'm doing and follow my heart. And then his heart was, he wanted to, he would have loved to have someone when he was a kid growing up, despite growing up in a fairly wealthy family, but someone to instill self-belief in himself. From what he said, he had a very narcissistic father, was very successful, but always trying to put him down, put everyone that's
Mm,
trying to outshine him, to get in your place. So
yeah.
and now what he's doing, he said he's never written a book, but now he's on a mission to write a book for children, to inspire them. His mission is to inspire a billion children in the world to have
Wow.
self belief in them. So I would highly recommend to watch this conversation. Absolutely gold mine, amazing. But
Amazing.
just to give you an idea, so for this guy, it was his lack of self belief that has been always holding him back and caused him to go through very painful events, like a divorce, two suicide attempts, and one heart attack. It was actually after he was recovering from the heart attack. He said, "Enough of it. F it. Now I need to go after what I'm really
Mm,
passionate about." So,
hmm.
what would you say? Have you encountered anything similar that was holding you back growing up, that you overcame it, and now that has become one of your greatest skill and assets?
Yeah, great question again. So you're so good at this. I think the biggest thing I've
Thank you.
struggled with and challenged pretty much most of my life, and even to this day, to be honest, if I'm being real, is imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Imposter syndrome. Growing up in a performance-driven Asian culture, you know, if I got like 98% on my exam, and my parents would be like, "Where's the 2%?" Right? Where's the 2%? I'm just like, "Oh, seriously?"
Been there,
Like,
done that. Yeah.
yeah. So it was a constant, lifelong challenge to please and appease my parents, and good was never good enough. And so,
Hmm.
even though that helped me to be, you know, like I skipped a grade in grade 4. I didn't tell you
Nice.
that.
Me too.
You did?
High
Oh,
five.
nice.
Yes.
There we go again. Lots in common. And to
Yes.
excel in music, in sports, in academics, at least the things that I enjoyed. I did really well in phys ed, my favorite
Me too.
subject. Um, that I didn't really think that I was good enough because, my whole upbringing was, I wasn't good enough for my parents. And
Mm,
good is not good enough. And you need to be perfect. And so there came to a point where it actually became very tiring. And that's, I shared very briefly, like in my university years, I ended up failing,
mm,
which I've never done in my entire life because I felt like I couldn't keep up this hamster wheel of trying to please my parents and actually do something that I actually hate. So something inside just broke. And I said, I can't live this life and this lie anymore. And I need to be true to myself. So that imposter syndrome was like, I keep, and my parents, and I love them now. It just like my relationship is much healthier now,
sure.
and we've reconciled and stuff like that. So there's a lot of healing, but it was always a comparison game. Why can't you be like Payman? Why can't you be like Jim? Why can't you be like Sarah? Why can't you be like
Mm,
Vivian? Like it wasn't good enough. So then, because I'm raised in that kind of culture and that environment my whole life in the digital space, like I'm closing 6 figures a month part time. Well, there's a guy that's doing $500,000 a month. I'm not good enough, right? Like,
yeah.
so I feel like, do I even have any authority to launch this business to help people do high ticket
Mm,
sales coaching? Because I'm not the best. So I basically use that kind of struggle to say, okay, so I'm okay with not being the best, but if I can help one person, and I'm sure I can help at least one person, then
that's
that gives me
it.
hope to say that if I can just stay a week ahead of payment and just help them to close, a $10 deal, $100 deal next week, $1,000 deal the week after, and 10 $1,000 deals after that, then we can slowly and steadily, progressively increase those results and hit 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and more figures each month.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah, I've gone through that as well myself. Like the parents never being happy, never being satisfied. My father has 2 degrees. He said by the time he was 25, he had 2 masters. What's wrong with you?
Oh my
Was
gosh.
always telling me, "What's wrong with you?" No, it's
Mm,
it's not it's not an easy. Well, I love my father and all that, but when growing up, it's very tough to take it. So it's not easy.
And now you're taking care of them.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, it's my duty and responsibility, because he took care of me when I was a kid, and so it's natural, but that's a
Amazing.
difference. Yeah. Um, Another good question that I want to ask you. Well, I think it's a good question. You will tell me if it's a good question or not. What would you say has been the biggest lesson you've learned this year that has impacted positively both your business and personal life?
Ooh. Wow. Oh man. I think um, they're kind of part and parcel. The thing that I've
Mm,
learned the most this year that has really helped, get me some results and where I want to be is um, planning ahead of time and taking action. There's two
mm,
again. So planning is the forecasting and the picture of the preferred future, and action is actually I'm a really good procrastinator, and I can be
me too.
yeah, and I could really be like tardy because I'm trying to maximize my time and doing I got 2 minutes left, I can do this, and then I end up running over. So I think taking action and not procrastinating, but based on a plan that is clear, has brought me so much um, joy and sense of accomplishment and results.
That's awesome. Hmm. As I told you earlier, I've been very interested for the past year or so into anything. I mean, into spirituality, and I've had a spiritual awakening. And one thing that they always tell is that life is like a school that we go to learn lessons. What would you say for you, regard looking back at your life? What would you say was the single biggest lesson that you came here to learn for in this lifetime?
Oh wow, I know the answer from and that comes from my heart.
Hmm.
It's it's to love. Like
Beautiful.
on my tombstone, on my epitaph, I want my greatest debt to be that I loved much,
Wow, that's
right?
powerful.
I know I'm gonna, have all sorts of debt for, you know, tax and mortgage, and that never leaves, right? But I want my goal in life and my passion is to love abundantly and excessively, and to serve humankind until
Wonderful.
until my last breath.
That's amazing. I love that. And you mentioned something similar to that in the at the beginning when I said if you add any motto to describe, you said sell more to give more, something along
That's
those
right.
lines.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. Let me ask you a fun question now. Um, let's say you're blessed to have a time machine.
Mhm.
You can go back in time and meet face to face your 18-year-old self. What would be the number one advice you would give yourself, knowing all that you know now and all your experiences?
I know this sounds weird, but I say keep doing what you're doing. I'm really pleased, and I know a lot of people have regrets and they wish that things could be different. I've been very fortunate and blessed to take opportunities to take action in life, even when I didn't know what I was doing. So I would say keep doing what you're doing, keep being who you're being. The only practical advice that I would get is make sure that you hire a coach in whatever area that you want to fast track in your life, whether it's learning how
Mm,
to play golf, play the guitar, or learn digital marketing or learning sales. Like, I think I always grew up with that poverty mindset of like, I got to figure it out myself.
yeah.
And instead of wasting a lifetime trying to do that, I listened to a billionaire podcast where the host said, "What's the secret to you becoming a success?" And the billionaire said, "It's a four-letter word." And I leaned into the podcast and I was like, what is this four-letter word that has helped me to become a success? And he said, the four-letter word that helped me to become as successful as I am today is HIRE, higher, do what you do best, outsource the rest. So
Wow.
he hired a tennis coach, hired a speech and communications coach, he hired a sales coach. So what normally would have taken him 10, 15, or even a lifetime of his years, he said, why should I learn that when I don't have the time, when I can
Exactly.
fast track and learn it in a month or 3 months or however long it takes?
Yeah.
So I would say to myself, hire out people that will help you get there faster.
I think it was Henry Ford that said some one time he was talking with someone said, "You're not qualified to be who you are because you don't know any answer." That he said something along the lines, "If I'm in the room where I'm the smartest guy, I'm in the wrong room because I have all the people that I need to I just call them and give me the answer."
Hmm.
And that is so true.
You're
And I
right.
think even Mark Cuban said that if you're in the room where you're the smartest guy, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're right. I think, like, for me, I'm not the smartest guy, but I want to learn from the brightest and the best. And
Exactly.
so trying to always have that humility and that childlike heart to learn. And, as I get older, typically people come more set in their ways. I want to grow softer and more malleable to the point where I'm willing to learn and to be humble enough to take those learnings and receive it so that I can be better, 1% better every day.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Incredible. Wow. Now we can keep talking for hours, but because you have such a wealth of knowledge and experience, one thing that you mentioned that I want to also get your thoughts on it. You said you've been through some very tough, and hard times, especially when you're, we're living on $1,000 a month, and sometimes you're afraid of going to the grocery store. If you look back at that, I mean, I've been through similar situation. Like when I was, I went after my dreams, but the business didn't work, and I was literally running out of money when I was living in Hong Kong, and I had to live with $20 a week. And Hong Kong is not the best place to be because one of the most expensive places. So,
Yeah.
and when I look in retrospect, I would not change that because that was probably some of the most not only enjoyable from a human perspective, but also one of the stepping stone of my life because I learned so many lessons there that because all the the hard times that we're going through, they're the greatest gifts we get because we learn the most. And I'm sure you looking back at the time when you were, at the cashier and you were, not sure, you were worried that, hey, is it going to bounce or not? I'm sure you too, we would not change that because that was what really give you the punch and in the butt to get you going. Would you agree with that? That you also would not change that because those were, yes, at the time they were hard time, but if you look back now, those were blessing in disguise.
110% payment. Like, if I didn't go through those,
Hmm.
stories and the experiences, I wouldn't be able to understand, listen, empathize with others. And so, how could I help those who I've not experienced that kind of, state of mind
Hmm.
or even finance? So, I wouldn't take that back for anything. I obviously it's not comfortable and you don't want to be stuck there, but unless we experience ourselves, I think it's hard for ourselves to put ourselves in that person's shoes. So that's
Hmm.
why when I'm on the calls with different people and offering a solution that can alleviate the pain and get rid of the financial um, issues that they face, I know exactly what it feels like. I know what it's like to be in their shoes. I know what it's like to feel rejected and declined. I know what it feels like to not have and to really look for a solution and throw up a prayer to heaven, hoping that manna will fall from the sky or a job will come or an opportunity, and not having that. Like, I didn't even mention, but there was 4 times in my 15 years of ministry where I had no money, not even $1,000, 4 times, 9 months each. It's really, really strange, but
Hmm.
I call it kind of like my spiritual pregnancy, where 4 times in the 15 years there was pretty much 9 months at a time where I was not making any money. I had no salary, I had no income, and it was all to help prepare my heart for like what it's like to have nothing. And now that I understand much, much, much better, it gives me a heart and a passion and a drive and a motivation and inspiration to help others who are in similar situations.
Beautiful. That is so true. Yeah, I've been to that as well. There have been times that, as I said, literally living on $20 a week, and if it wasn't for a friend who allowed me to crash on his couch, I would have been on the streets. And I'm not
Wow,
kidding, you know. So,
that's
but
crazy,
those
man.
those moments were the moments that, when I look back, I cherish them like some of the best memories of my life so far. Because you grow up so much, just like you said, you want to get to a point where you have nothing, so you can really understand that and empathize with people. So yeah, definitely. Wow. Hmm. I mean, we can keep talking about that for a long time, but yes, we'll get to that in a moment. Yes.
Okay.
What is that? Tell us, show us. I want you to tell us.
This is a tailor-made 314 CE Limited 2 Maple
Wow.
Edition with an
Amazing.
expression system. So this is a birthday gift from my wife.
Beautiful.
It's a guitar that's around $3,000,
Amazing.
and I've cherished it since she bought it and use it and love it.
So, are you saying that you're going to play a little bit tune for us
Oh,
live, the world premiere?
sure, I can if you'd like. Give you
Ooh.
like a little sample if that's okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Bring it on, brother.
This is a song that's not written by me, but it's called This Is Amazing Grace. And it
Mm-hmm.
goes like this. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, which is Jesus,
Oh,
that you would bear
wow.
my cross. You laid down your life because he sacrificed everything. There was no plan B. God didn't have an auxiliary son, that I would be set free. So in exchange for our sin, he took away our pain and sin so that we might have life. And it says, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. So this is the chorus part. So I'll just sing
Mm-hmm.
that short part. Okay.
Wow.
This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross, you would lay down your life, that I would be set free. Yeah, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. All that you've done for me. All that you've done for me.
Amazing. Wow. Amazing. That's amazing. Do you have any songs that you've written yourself?
I've written a bunch, but I haven't sung them in a long time.
Okay, no worries, no pressure. Phil, if you want, you're welcome. If you don't want, no problem at all.
I can do a bit of one, maybe.
Okay. Wow.
I want to be in your presence. I want to do your will. Just want to soak in your presence. I want to be found by you. That's all I'll do for now.
That's amazing. Wow. I can't wait till we can, meet in person again. That would be
Yeah,
amazing to meet and have us. It's gonna be a blast, I'm sure.
absolutely.
Wow. All right. Um, Let me ask you one last question. If do you have any? What would be the number one productivity tip you want to share with us?
Productivity tip?
Yeah.
Yeah, great question. I think that's one thing that's worked for me is like based on that thing that I mentioned earlier, which is focus. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Pomodoro.
Yes.
Yeah. So the ability to focus is the ability to turn off things and turn on things. So I literally, my phone, and my wife cannot even get a hold of me. I put on do not disturb pretty much all day long. Like
Beautiful.
if someone dies, I'll actually miss the call. I mean, that's maybe to a degree that's not good. But that's
Wow.
the degree that I'm so easily distracted and I'm so easily thrown off that I can't get anything done. So I put do not disturb on my phone, and then I use a Pomodoro or a focus app where I'll do 25 and 5. So I'll do 25 sessions, 25-minute sessions where I just focus on deep work And I do the deepest work early in the morning that takes the highest computational power, whether it's creating, whether it's putting organic posts, whether it's building a system or a sales process, something that's going to generate the most amount of income. Do that first thing. I do deep work where I do 25 minutes and I'll do a 5-minute break. So I'll either do like exercise or jumping jacks, or I'll play Boom Beach, which is on my Android phone. And I'll just do something that's not really to work and just
Yeah.
enjoy. That's my kind of like my quote unquote
Mm-hmm.
metaphor for my ice cream or my getaway, right? And then after
Yeah.
that 5-minute timer's gone, boom, I'm back to 25 minutes, 5, 25, 5. And so you get a lot of in the day, if you have an 8, 10, 12-hour day, you can see where you can get a lot of deep work accomplished. And being in the Coach's Secret program, you get, which is the monk manual, as you know.
I have it. Yes.
Yeah.
And I've and
So
I've uh, and I've also ordered some for gifts for my sisters and my sister's husband. Yes.
there you go. So I try to make sure I fill it so that I have the tasks that I need to complete all the deep work and the things that are in priority, so that I can really be productive and fruitful to really create my business and bring the transformation that I want to change the world.
Fantastic, fantastic. As you know, you're the third person who talked to me about the Pomodoro
Mhm.
principle. I'm definitely going to implement that because that's one thing that I struggle with, especially staying focused because we're so easily distracted.
Yeah, me too.
Um, but I love the what you mentioned, like 25-minute laser focus, 5-minute break, and keep that cycle all day long. Another thing that I learned, I heard from other very successful people is that one person I know, he said he doesn't even check his phone until noon each morning.
Hmm. Amazing.
He just first thing he does as soon as he gets out of bed, some exercises, whether it's push-ups, jumping jacks, whatever. Then after that, 1 hour of reading, some meditation, and then he starts his day. So, are you implementing something similar as well, or?
Yeah, I have and I could share this with you. I have a 1% daily tracker,
Mhm.
activity tracker, and there's about 20 columns.
Wow,
And so it'll because I have an Aura ring that shows your sleep score and your ready score.
nice.
It's a, what do you call it? A smart ring, if that makes sense. Highly
Really?
recommend it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it teaches you based on your calories burned, your steps counted, your deep sleep. If you can see in here, there's like a computer in here, chip.
What's a brand?
Aura, Oura.
Okay,
A
I'll
lot of
definitely look
high
at it.
performing coaches use Aura. So it gives you a ready score and sleep score. So it actually is predictive on how well your day is going to be, whether it's in sales, whether it's in e-commerce, like the work that you're going to be, your ability to function. So, if I get above a 70 or an 80 score, I know I'm going to just crush it that day. And if I get like a 60, I know I got to do some extra work to either take a nap because I'm low on my score, or to do some
Mhm.
exercise, or to make sure I eat healthy to compensate for my low score. So I have a ready score, sleep score. When did I sleep? When did I wake up? What was my resting heart rate at sleeping? What was the
Mhm.
number of steps? And then my whole exercise, body, mind, and spirit. Did I spend time in reading the Bible, in prayer, in meditating, and then a whole workout regimen for stretching? My goal is to do the splits. I didn't even tell you that. I'm very
Wow,
close to it. I'm very close to doing the splits because it's taken me over a year.
that's
Um,
fantastic.
so I'm one of the most inflexible people I know. And just following this regimen of like push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, planks, jujitsu, Muay Thai kickboxing, and just keeping your body active.
That's amazing. Wow, fantastic, man. You're a true model, man. Wow, that's amazing. And if someone wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to do so?
They can do so on Facebook, Jay Lee. They can do so on the website and funnel that I'm going to launch at gosalesninja.com. It's not up and running yet because I'm just finalizing my VSL.
Okay.
I currently have an older website called radicalbusinessgrowth.com.
So what is it
Um,
at?
radicalbusinessgrowth.com.
Radical
Business
business.
growth.
Okay.
Yeah, but my new funnel that's going to be much better, that
Mm-hmm.
reflects my new business, is going to be Go Sales Ninja. and I just sent you the URL for the funnel that
Yes.
is still in draft mode. That's going to be published probably within the next week or so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the
I see it.
URL will be gosalesninja.com for the new one.
Yeah, 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 I saw it. Okay, awesome, fantastic. Listen, Jay, we can be talking like hours and hours. So such a wealth of knowledge and experience. An amazing guy. But we'll try to keep that. Maybe we'll do a follow up in a few months, especially once my launch is completed and once we can meet in person. So so yeah. Do you have any
Sounds good.
parting tips? Do you have any parting tips for anyone listening to that? Who would like to either step up the game when it comes to finding a meaning, or especially when it comes to finding a meaningful, business to follow, or anything to that effect?
Yeah, my last parting words would be like, just love what you're doing, and love the process, even though it's painful, and
Mm,
love people really well. Like when you serve and when you give, it always returns back. God always gives back, and He always blesses. And so I think it's really important to, even in the moment while you're struggling and trying to find solutions, to enjoy. Because I mean, what's the point of bickering and complaining and going into depression when in the Bible it says, consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds. I'm like, what, really? It builds perseverance, it builds character, it helps you. And like we talked about throughout this podcast, like these difficult moments are the ones that actually shaped us. And
mm-hmm,
it was times that we were sometimes even the most happiest, because we realized with very little we can be content. So
mm-hmm.
enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. And I don't think we'll ever have arrived,
Oh
because I
yeah.
think once we've arrived, I think we've died, because we felt like we've reached the pinnacle and we can't go anywhere else.
We go back to the source at that time. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
You mentioned the power of loving, and I heard a while ago one of the most powerful, profound quotes that says, "The love that you withhold is the pain that you carry, lifetime
Ooh,
after lifetime."
ooh,
That's so powerful.
that is really good.
The love that you withhold is the pain that you carry, lifetime after lifetime. Wow, that is
Ooh,
so true.
that's so deep
Yeah.
and so true.
Anyways, brother.
Thank you for
Anyways,
sharing.
brother. I salute you. You're a true leader with a heart. And with this, I wish you an amazing weekend. And
Mhm.
we'll keep in touch. And have a wonderful day, brother.
Thank
Take
you
care.
so much. Take care,
Thank
Payman.
you.